So Chicago Bears coaches, they are raving about an absolute athletic freak newly joining the team, and none other than Chicago Bears head coach Ben Johnson. He had really high praise for former Maryland and rookie linebacker Ruben Hippolyte during a press conference following mandatory minicamp practices. And this is in answer to a reporter's question. Johnson opened up by noting a pair of defensive players, including Hippolyte, who Johnson said is the player we probably saw the most improvement from when he stepped onto the field. This is a little more from here. There's a lot of moving parts there at linebacker play. They're keying and diagnosing a few different deals. And just with defensive coordinator Dennis Allen's scheme, the match mentality that we like to play a lot of our coverages with, things change quickly. And Hippolyte, he has done a great job adjusting to that speed as we've gone through, and that's going to have to show up once we do get the pads on. But I think he's been improving every single day, and really, we are seeing that course continuing. And talking about Hippolyte, he has capitalized on every single rep in a competition of sorts with second-year linebacker Noah Sewell at Sam linebacker. And it's also a chance for the Florida native to prove himself on the field. And Hippolyte, a little bit of controversy with this guy, right? His selection in the 2025 NFL draft, it ruffled feathers, right? It raised a lot of eyebrows. While ESPN was super critical of the selection, they called the pick, and I quote, a major reach in the middle rounds by GM Ryan Poles. I'm going to get into that a little more. I don't think it's a reach. I think it's a matter of how the draft was structured and the strength of this draft class. But I think the Bears found a good one here. And a little more on Hippolyte. In case you didn't know, he is one of two Terps in Chicago. DJ Moore is the other. And DJ Moore is entering his third season with the team. He's going to notch his fifth 1,000 receiving yard season in the last 7. So the star veteran receiver is working on his body language as well, and I think this is going to be communicated throughout the team. Speaking of Terps, it's like Ben Johnson is minding the details, and there was some body issue, not body issues, I think he likes his body, some body language issues with DJ Moore last year, and what he had to say after talking to Ben Johnson was, just don't do it. Just keep it inside. We talked about it later, and just don't put it on film. Don't put it on TV so you guys can't run with it. So that's how it is. And that really kind of puts a pin on the body language conversation. I really like that Ben Johnson is having these personal conversations. So let's kind of get back to Hippolyte a little bit. Really exciting first 2 days of the draft, right? 2 second-round picks were turned into 3 with some trade maneuvering. So all told, the Bears secured a top tight end, a top wide receiver, a giant offensive tackle, and an absolutely violent defensive lineman. So it was hard not to feel like these were wins. But then we got to day 3, and it got a little weird, right? There was a run on running backs to open the 4th round. It seemed like running backs that the Bears were targeting just seemed to go just before they picked. Our GM was not willing to reach for picks that weren't in the proper place on his chart. He really stayed true and disciplined to that. I think we will thank him for that further down the road. But let's say the running backs kept running off the board, and the Bears ended up trading down. They traded from 109 to 132, and then a huge surprise, right? The name Ruben Hippolyte was announced, and it was speculated that the Bears were going to go linebacker in this draft, but for many, Hippolyte was a mystery, and some experts actually thought that he was going to be an undrafted free agent. He wasn't at the combine, and the Bears took him in the 4th round, which seemed like absolutely ridiculous. But most notably, Adam Hoge, he came up with some answers. So he reached out to a lot of people around the league and kind of thinking, did the Bears make a mistake though? And kind of one of the things I want to highlight is that there was some really sound reasoning as to why the Bears picked him in the 4th. So I frankly didn't know anything about Hippolyte, and let's try to understand why he wasn't invited to the combine, because these numbers, they really jump off the page. The guy ran a 4.4240 at his pro day. His play speed, evident all across all the tape. His tape, I mean, he looks like he's fired out of a cannon, runs downhill, and Dennis Allen, he is going to use his speed. And also, if you were watching Football Drive, the show, our defensive coordinator, Dennis Allen, was absolutely elated when GM Ryan Poles let him know that they were picking Hippolyte. So I don't think he's the normal combine snub. I don't think he's your normal reach. And frankly, there aren't very many 240-pound linebackers in the NFL who actually have sub 4.4 speed, because now I'm looking, and he was actually recorded as having a 4.39 40. Even better, right? That's absolutely ridiculous. So he showcased his speed fully at his pro day, and the Bears were there. And the Bears actually were watching tape, obviously. The guy just covers a lot of ground, sideline to sideline, really instinctual, and he has a nose for the football. The core issue is his size. We're looking at him being only 5'11". So that makes it really difficult for him to take on, big offensive linemen, right, when trying to hit ball carriers. And also some argue that he played out of position in college. Most of his time was spent at middle linebacker. But his body type and his speed makes him an ideal will outside linebacker in Dennis Allen's scheme. So how is Dennis Allen going to use him? He's undersized, but he's super fast. Dennis Allen is no stranger to using that type of player effectively, because if you look at his best defenses in New Orleans, we're looking at Quan Alexander, undersized player, legit speed, and in 19 games under Allen, this is an undersized player that really fits the same profile as Hippolyte. We're looking at a guy who gobbled up 77 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 8 quarterback hits, 2 forced fumbles, and an interception. I mean, I think if Hippolyte can manage this possible position switch, absolutely productive pick in the long term. And the Bears were desperately thin at linebacker. Guys, I think this is going to be a really good pick. And then if you kind of look at it a little more, this was another trade with Buffalo. In case you haven't noticed, we trade with Buffalo almost every single year. And most people, of course, they had never heard of Hippolyte. But yeah, Jeff Hughes of the Bears blog. Say that 10 times fast. The Bears blog. He is an absolute wizard. I really love what he puts out. And he speaks about, did the Bears overdraft Hippolyte? And this is what he had to say. We had him on our board a little bit later than the 4th, but I don't think much later. 6th, I think. People seemed surprised at that pick, but we weren't. I didn't scout him, but our guy who did like him for specials because of his speed, and Ben loves speed most above other things. This was not a draft with a safe late round prospect as well. So if you saw a trait in a guy you loved, you took him. Bears clearly did that. Why not? And really, this is a benefit from a weak draft. If you kind of look at the reality of it, experts all across the board were saying that the depth of this last draft class was really weak, right? After day 2, there weren't many intriguing players, not really a lot of guys that were going to slip to later rounds. So the objective in day 3 was clear, like throw darts, throw guys with high upside, with traits that you really, really love. And that's Ruben Hippolyte to a T. There aren't many linebackers, once again, that run with sub 4.4 speed. And I think the Bears think that they have the right coaching staff in place. I think Dennis Allen believes that he can coach this guy up and get a ton out of him. And he's just got the core qualities. At the very least, he's going to be a core special teamer. I think that's the low end of him. This is a guy that's definitely going to make the 53. But if he is what I think he is, and if he is what Ben Johnson is noticing that he is so far, we're going to have an absolute steal at will linebacker, a guy that can go sideline to sideline, and a guy who has absolutely killer speed on this new revamped, aggressive Bears defense. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments. I think Hippolyte is going to be an absolutely great pick. I think he's not a reach. I think he is going to be a big steal. Let me know what you think about him, where you think that he's going to fit into the defense, and if defensive coordinator Dennis Allen can get the most out of him. I love the Quan Alexander Can't talk. I love the Quan Alexander comp. And you guys let me know if you agree. So appreciate you guys. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. It's a huge blessing, and we'll talk soon. See ya.